like a book. Erotic fiction in the kitchen, let's experiment with food. Leftovers on my phone, it puts me in a mighty mood. Girl, I'm a little bored, maybe I should try reverse. What's your name? What's your game? Mind if I rifle through your purse? Here's a graphic, I'm a rapper, just do a Google search. 20 pages, I'm amazing. What's your addy? I'll send merch. Sorry, I'm tired now. I got nothing left. Oh my goodness.
I apologize for spilling bars.
It's the Ruty Rut, the man with more tie vest combos than just about any gangster in any era. Ever. I know that's a tad hyperbolic, but it's kind of what we do here. And as the goblins of Mordor go tumbling by, Rudy, what's been your best moment here thus far at this con?
I think our game with on the stream last night, Rothfuss, the D&D Beyond guys, Satine and Eric Lang was a riot. It was probably one of the best ones that I've gotten to do in a while.
Yeah. Now, was that like an ongoing game, or is this like a one-off?
So it's actually a canon continuation for Inkwell Society. So we have a little bit of extra oomph in it, I suppose, because like the craziness that they're doing up there, I'm actually going to keep involved in Inkwell.
Yeah.
The hard part about that is Inkwell is a super noir, everything matters.
Yeah.
And how do I keep them from being too zany?
Yeah.
I gave them hotel rooms where they could essentially put their hand on a little plate and it cast like major illusion, and they could basically decorate their hotel room to whatever their inner desires said.
Oh.
And so they came up with these incredibly creative things, but it let them get that out of their system too. Yeah. And so the rest of the thing, they were very respectful about the rest of the setting.
Now that they've had their jollies.
Right.
Yes.
Hey everybody out there in WebDM land, we're here at Gamehole Con with Satine Phoenix. And first and foremost, what happened? Who took your ears away? Is this
I don't want to talk about it.
I mean,
the truth is, I have multiple pairs of ears, but then my friends are like, I love your ears. I'm like, you should just have them.
Yeah.
And I keep doing that, and now I don't have ears.
oh God. Oh.
Yeah.
How can you do that?
I feel better naked.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Here, no, I'm good. We go.
What is your favorite monster to use outside of combat?
Outside of combat. Oh. There's outside of combat. My favorite monster is a Behir. My sirens really they want a manticore and they want a chimera so bad. So I gave them a baby one. The whole thing about sirens is they're out to save all of the animals or the monsters that are getting kidnapped to form an elixir, like a fountain of youth. It's like a beauty pyramid scheme. It's really silly. But they want to save
monsters and they get two monsters.
And then their friends get two monsters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they tried to release all the monsters, and there was just two that they fell in love with, and that was the chimera and the manticore.
Excellent. Well,
But baby version.
Baby version. So they're not riding around.
Actually, I don't know if there's a specific one, but it's definitely baby versions of things.
Excellent.
Yeah, because manticores with all the spines on the back, right? Oh. I remember that character that I had.
Yeah,
I had a mount. It had as a mount. I had to file his spines down just so I could ride him. I saved him.
I want you as a pet.
Yeah.
No,
it's dangerous.
Great. I saved him from I forgot what I saved him from. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think we might have killed his mom and then we felt guilty or
Possibly.
something like that.
There
Care for him. It's a circle of life.
Circle of life and guilt and shame.
There's a lot of that in D&D.
Well, it's why we play the game, right? I mean, it lets you exercise some of that a little bit, right?
Yeah, therapy.
Yeah. So as D&D as therapy, how often would you say that you use that?
On accident, all the time.
Yeah.
Purposefully, so there's a lot of people in our community that are working on that. I am not an expert. However, I am talking with a lot of different people because I have severe PTSD, and I'm writing a book about it on how D&D saved me from PTSD. So, or at least is helping me on the way out. Like those things. So, with the resources we have now, you can be more purposeful with it, but it just turns out that a lot of us who are escapists are using it for that on accident.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely, early in my gaming, there was a lot of that. But once you start realizing what you're doing, it's like, oh no, I don't need to do that. But what I have found is later on in life, I can just think about one little thing that triggers me or whatever, and I will put that into a character and learn to work through it.
Yeah.
Not anything major, but just little things. And I think that's why one thing about D&D that if you have a group that you trust, you can work through some things like that together.
Yeah, and it's better if you do it actively because then everyone is more careful with it. Because if you do it on accident and everyone's just like, murder hobo, rah, I don't care what's going on. You're like, oh God, I'm so vulnerable, and nobody knows what they're doing to me. So being very upfront and verbal about it is going to be beneficial.
Oh. So I have this guy. It's a coffee vendor.
Yeah.
He's just a coffee vendor. He sits outside of wherever they are, and whenever a character wants to disengage, there's just always a coffee guy there. It's they go over and he's like, "Do you want a coffee?" Sure. And they're like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So he pours a coffee and he's like, "How's your day going?" Stuff and just gives them something to do to unwind from the game.
And it gives them a chance to talk in character. It's those are little moments that if you're introducing them and sort of prompting the players, all right, here's an NPC that's just gives you an opportunity to reveal a little bit maybe about your backstory, something that your character's doing.
So then I have two other staples for Inkwell. One of them is Geisha, not Geisha, Geisha. She's a hobgoblin building manager for their apartment complex, the Wicket Lawn.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of a little bit of a doctor girlfriend, but very gruff and thoughtful about Grizz. Oh, Grizz, you're a big piece of meat.
Very empathetic.
I would love to season and pound you into a nice pulpy mass.
Well, it's good.
Are all you, man.
It's good. It's good
And
to
then,
know.
right? And then the other one is this he's the Satine's character is a lounge singer, right?
Yeah.
And the showgirls need a show daddy kind of thing, right?
Well, of course they do.
And he's just there, show mom, maybe, I don't know. He's just there to take care of him. And so he's like, "Oh, I'm Robert. Oh, darling, you look so tired. I've got something for those bags under your eyes."
I'm already.
You should be. What way do you ever what the what? Why not the why? Who's who? You mean nobody knows, nobody cares. It's just one big happy sad world. It kind of makes a lot of no sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
drawn in anyway.
right?
Yeah.
And gives you little slights at the same time, kind of like your mom would.
Oh yes, that very giving you a compliment while insulting you at the same time.
Exactly.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
You look so good with your beard. It's so full. It's got the white things. With the butter with you.
That's fine.
Did you dip your chin in the butter or with the powder? What is he? You're so dignified.
I don't want to talk about it.
And
really.
young.
It's very, well, I try to be young. I try. It's
Right, you've got to do this for the fans so they don't know, so you appear wiser.
Yeah.
well, now I have to stop doing what I'm doing because you've revealed all of my secrets.
And that's what makes it great in DC.
Yeah. But I love the coffee guy because I love it's a total it's a subversion or kind of a different spin on that, like the bartender, right? To go get clues, but change it up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, they dropped a sign on the bartender, so.
Well, it happens. It happens.
I grew up on a D&D that was very much murder hobo, right? But 5th edition seems to mark a change, not necessarily completely away from that, because everybody loves murder hobos, but it's more story, more emotional investment, more connecting with the characters and creating something. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that and where that switch comes from.
I think we need D&D different now.
Yeah.
We need it for a lot of different things. One of the things that Sirens is good at right now, we have a monster hunter. She's collecting monsters for Xanathar, right? So there's that weird, I'm doing a good thing, I'm not killing them, but it's for Xanathar, so he can kind of enslave them or convince them to work for him. And Xanathar is better than the Zentarum, so therefore, But it's really interesting because you have the other group that's just trying to kill all these monsters, and then you have adventurers who are trying to get from point A to point B to help those things, and then they realize they just killed all these Emerald Cabal, and they're like, am I as bad as that? At the same time, I've been playing Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
Yeah.
It just came out yesterday, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but man, I like killing everything in there. So like, there's a time and a place for those things.
Right.
Sometimes I just want to kick back and kill all the things. Other times I want to work through stuff with people, and I want people to be more creative. Because like I just want to kill all the things because I'm in that mode. But for stream especially,
right.
like it's not as fun to watch people just kill things. You want to watch them work through some stuff, and if you watch Sirens at all, the girls are amazing because they're like doing this thing and everyone's like, yeah, and then you've got that one girl who's working through something and starts singing about it while everyone's off like, and she just hangs back and has this really melancholy song, and we're all like, Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was very selfish. Let's talk about that.
Question. So, what I love most about like Maze Arcana and everything it's done is very theatrical, very performance based. Any tips for that for maybe DMs out there who are just dipping in their toe and want to like add a bit of flair and theatrical? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Well, I mean,
theatricalness.
Esqueness. Yeah. Jim's asking for someone else, just for a friend.
Just for a friend.
Yeah, it's just for a friend. It's fine.
Yeah.
I like to have them. I mean, I feel like it all comes down to communication, right?
Yeah.
So I like to make sure in advance I communicate. We do session zeros at the beginning of every game.
Oh yeah.
So I'll remind everybody, eye contact. Use your eyes to ask for permission to enter a scene. Use your eyes to let somebody know that you would like to be a part of it and to give that permission. So if you're looking at me and I'm talking with him, like when I pop over, I'll be scanning every now and then, and I'm
Yeah.
Hey, Bogo, are you in there? Do you have your ear against the door?
No. I wasn't listening at all to what y'all were talking about
How
for
did
the
you
last
hear
10
me?
minutes. Shit.
That kind of a thing right there, right? And then you just kind of roll people in. But I also am very responsive to their out of character comments, and I tell them that everything you say, like, you should be first person is when you talk about like what you want to do, and then anything you say, I'm going to take as if it's in character for the most part.
Right.
So that's how Satine ended up talking to a toilet when she got drunk, because she'd been hitting this bottle. It was the wrong bottle to grab, which we established earlier in the season. She's like, I grabbed the expensive one, and I'm like, is it the gold one? And she's like, yeah. Sure. I think she forgot. Right. So she grabs this bottle, fails her con saves like immediately, and then when we cut away, we come back, and she's like, I'm so drunk, and I'm like, okay, roll a wisdom save. And she's narrated that she's in the toilet, like near the toilet, like throwing up, and she's like, I'm so drunk, and then she fails this wisdom save, and the toilet starts talking to her. And she gets like weirded out and tries to back out and drops down on a couch, and the couch starts talking to her. She tries to vicious mockery the couch, and I'm like, it fails. I didn't even roll for it, it fails. And then she's like, and she goes to pick up her damage, and I'm like, well, it's immune to psychic damage because it's an inanimate object, you're drunk. And she's like, oh.
Go home, Satine, you're drunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we all, if you pick that wrong bottle, you're going to be talking to the toilet. So.
Right. So I think in order to keep things thematic, and I also only narrate what I would write in a script. Right. So I only bump that little thing, and most of what I do is improv. Right. The entire game yesterday upstairs, I actually didn't get to prep for it.
Yeah.
I just watched the last 10 minutes of the last one that we did on D&D Beyond, and I was like, okay, I know where this is gonna go, and I know my world I know Eberron well enough. I know the storylines. I have like 8 storylines going there, so I know where I can weave them without them crashing anything.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of like the benefit of running multiple games, multiple campaigns in the same world, the same setting, sort of building up your own knowledge, which lets you then go like, yeah, I can just like run off the cuff.
It doesn't hurt that I'm the co-author of Eberron for 5th edition, right?
Well, it can only help.
Yeah.
Speaking of Eberron, big Eberron fan. Any tidbits coming down the pipe? Anything? Maybe you'll be on the DM's Guild or something?
Well, you mean besides the Artificer?
Oh, when's the Artificer?
Sometime.
Okay.
Soon, I hope.
Ish.
Yeah. Keith and I have also been working on a supplement called Moorgrave's Miscellany, which is essentially the university's kind of like 101 course to being an adventurer. Moorgrave's is like it's the big university in Sharn, but it's also kind of like, it's not the top tier institution, if you will.
No.
It's also not like, you know, a lower, it's not a community college.
Right.
But also like, you know, it would be like the way that like Harvard would look at Florida State. They're like, oh yeah, no, that's nice.
That's quaint.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's sure.
which is fine because I went to Florida State. I'm okay with it.
Sure.
We're not Duke. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
You gotta own it.
Right.
Yeah.
We had fun. That's what's important.
Totally a lot of fun.
So we had fun. So this is kind of like Kessler is the guy who wrote like the forward for all of the class schedule stuff. And so the curriculum gives you like new archetypes or some new player options outside, some feats, things that you would have had in your previous Eberron campaigns maybe, but not stuff that was included already in 5th edition because it's because they were prestige classes or because they were very Eberron specific. And so we made them not generic, but we made them to where they would fit in any setting, but where they are still very flavorful, specific to Eberron. So if you had favorite subclasses or I guess favorite prestige classes,
Something like that.
I feel like that one is so, like, that's just like, you can, here, pick up a wand.
Right. It's not the like the 3 wands tied together, dual wielded. That's the
Right.
one I remember.
Right.
I think I did that in your last Eberron.
I'm sure you
Something
did.
like
I'm
that.
Sure Pruitt,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did anybody play like a bone knight?
I don't know that anybody played a bone knight. No.
Was that is that like a male prostitute or? Oh wait, sorry.
It sounds like a great opportunity for a subclass, though, right? Like a bard subclass, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so the Bard subclass we're pulling in is one that was actually in XLN.
Oh.
But it was, I created it for Eberron
Yeah.
a while ago. It was Chris Lindsay's archetype. But outside of that, it's pretty much, we've got a Bone Knight. We got that college. We've got, let's see, what's an old favorite for somebody that is, I'm trying to think of like what is really, so one that is probably not, like there's no Blood of Vol paladin kind of a thing, right? You can't just have that, because it doesn't make sense if you have Blood of Vol, but there's not the religion or whatever in that setting. So the Blood of Vol, their entire kind of mantra is that it's all about within. It's all about not needing to rely. Yes, you can have faith, you can have all this other stuff, but it's about, you can do it, buddy.
Yeah.
You do it all on your own.
Inner strength.
Yeah, inner strength. You
It's
don't
like
need
the
me.
secret.
Right, so
Yeah.
it's the Oath of Sacrament. It's your own blood. And you are essentially thinking about a lot of ways that you can embolden your allies, you can give them your own essence.
Okay.
And then obviously we have like the hosts of the sovereign.
Okay.
Or sorry,
Oh, yeah.
not host of the sovereign, but you have the sovereign domain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You're the sovereign host.
Yeah. I was about to say, isn't that from Doctor Who?
So the sovereign host is the big kind of pantheonic religion where everybody's got, you can worship all these different people, or you can just have the whole thing. So we made a domain specifically for the entire kind of an open thing. We're like, I worship everybody.
Yeah.
So it lets you pick and choose things from different, from other different cleric domains as you go.
Ooh.
But it also lets you have like, you can use a weapon, basically any weapon, as your focus, as opposed to having to have it with the symbol or like sling holy water on it. Because back in the old days, each domain, each god had a favored weapon. So in this, it's like the idea that you have your weapons, and as long as it's the weapon or whatever it is that you can just basically eventually, like, you don't need one. You could walk around with your hands tied.
There you go.
You don't need one. So it alleviates that whole thing where like, you're caught in a jail cell and you don't have anything. You're the one guy who can really cast. If your DM is a stickler, you're the one guy that can actually cast spells.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
good.
need to commune before your execution? Good, we can do that.
There you go. That's good. I always like taking away spell focus, prayer beads, holy symbol. It really just forces them to think creatively.
Right.
Yeah.
So there.
Oh, sorry, one more that really, I completely forgot about, really excites me. The new Wizard College isn't a college so much as a study.
Okay.
It is the study of antiquities.
All right.
And it is the Old Cataclysm Mage. It is all about studying the downfall of other civilizations and knowing how to ward against that, or how to use that to your advantage against your enemies. So it is really that first time when anybody ever in the history of anything has actually applied somebody else's folly without having to create that same problem on their own.
There you go.
We're all stupid and we have to like, oh no, did Jim tell me not to do that thing? I'm gonna go and do it.
Let's go do that.
Come back,
I gotta
Jim.
see for myself.
Jim, you were right. I shouldn't have done it.
Should not have drank from the gold bottle.
Sucks.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was not sake.
Speaking of cataclysms, any plans for the Warnland? Gonna do anything with that, or are you still sticking with Sharn as home base?
Right now, it's going to stay in Sharn. I'm sure that if we go to a full hardback in the near future, it will be a much more inclusive book. This one was very specific to that. What I will say is that we are instituting the level 0 rules.
Oh yeah.
So this one will have the rules that Keith and I had worked up back when we started, actually back when I started like Orphan Echo, we started working on level 0 rules, playtesting, and I've got like 1,000 hours, I think, with playing at level 0 tables, running level table zeros.
Sweet.
So with this thing, and a lot of it, like at first, people can feel like, oh, well, players feel too squishy, and it's like, that's the point.
Yeah.
If they don't, if they feel like they can rush headlong into something, you're alienating the other options that are available.
Right. Well, and it stretches out that period that I really liked for Eberron, where that's that low-level feel to it.
Right.
And adding in a level 0 kind of like stretches that out a bit and
I
gets you that sweet spot.
Right. I slow down leveling quite a bit for Eberron. So my players, most of them were level 0 for like 11 episodes.
Sweet.
Holy crap.
And even now, like only 3 of them are level 1.
Man after my own heart.
So, and it gives them more time to explore the character before they start wielding power,
Right.
because they're so specific.
Yeah.
And Keith and I also have put in some stuff about kind of a new way to look at creating the character, because you guys know I'm so heavily, I think that flaws and vices are really kind of your best indicators of what your own, because failures are what make a person, right? That's what builds character. So if we fail epically, we create epic characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
So before you have all this power that you can level the city, maybe it's good to learn actually who you are, what your redemption needs to be. And I think that all course starts from a defining memory, but it's not like, what was that moment in your life? You're defining failure. And you must be the selfish ass that did it. It can't be like, oh, I got put in a bad situation, I had to do this, or somebody forced me to do this. It's like, oh,
No.
I stole that money out of the beggar's cup knowing he would die
Yeah.
if he didn't have it. And then he did. And now I walk by that corner every day.
Yeah.
And
It's as empty as your heart.
and it hurts.
Yeah.
And so, and then I found out that guy had a daughter in another town. And he was just trying to collect enough money to get back to his daughter. Now I have to go take care of that daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
So you're gonna go kill the
building
daughter.
Well-
Oh wait, you meant take care of the daughter.
Well, so if I hadn't gone through that character development, I might.
Yeah. Right.
I might be like, yeah, whatever, I'll just go into her misery too.
Yeah.
Come to find out she's a princess, he was a king in disguise, you're an asshole.
Sucks to be you.
And
Sucks to be
the
you.
King's Guard is now coming for you. Maybe.
You were host of GM Tips on Geek and Sundry, and I'm curious about like your experience with that, and maybe some of the best little tidbits and tips that you got there we could share with our viewers.
Oh my God!
Wait,
There's
no
the
pressure or
best.
anything,
Everyone,
right?
every single one had a best, right? So it was just like, wow. So the whole point of it was, Matt had his own way of doing GM tips, and for me, I can only come at things with my own perspective.
Right.
And I am who I am because of all the dungeon masters I played with.
Right.
And I am a collagist or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, if you put those two, that idea happens, and then we all work together, and then you have better ideas. So because of how I learned how to game master, that's how I wanted to share with everyone else. So that was. So my closing thing or my best tip is don't only dungeon master play, and learn from everyone else. Like, I've been watching your guys' stuff for a really long time, and that it inspires me, right? It's not stealing, it's inspiration. And like, if I just watch your stuff for an X amount of time and then I don't watch anything at all and I just keep going, I become stale, because in that time that I'm not watching you guys and I'm just doing my thing, you guys have learned all sorts of stuff, right? And if I don't share what I know, then it doesn't help anyone else. So I don't know if you know about it, but I'm doing a thing called the Dungeon Master's Guide, where we actually are interviewing 2 Dungeon Masters at the same time. So it's an experienced Dungeon Master and a novice Dungeon Master, and we're creating adventures from scratch all the way to the end in 45 minutes. So yeah, I gotta work on that. But again, doing it because we all learn from each other, especially because game masters who've been gaming for a long time, y'all think you know everything.
Yes,
I've been
we
playing
do.
for 30 years. I know very little, but I know how to share and I know how to learn from other people. So yeah, that's what it's all about.
There you go, words of wisdom.
Yes, so thank you so much, Satine. And hope you have you here tomorrow?
Heck yeah.
Awesome, well,
It's my day off. You should come hang out. Let's go hang out.
We've got early flights.
My flight leaves at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess we're going to have to party tonight.
Well, we'll have to see about that. So, have a good one.
Can I just say, thank you and be good to each other?
Yes.
I feel like communication is the one thing that we are terrible at as human beings. We expect everyone to know, or we expect that it's weakness if we don't share, right? But it can't be a one-sided thing. I can't just cry on Jem, expect Jem to give me all of his time and attention. And then when it's your turn, I'm like, so, you want to grab lunch? What's up? We have to be really thoughtful and careful about each other because you can go, now at least these days, you can go and find a new group pretty easily. Our opportunities to spend our time are very valuable. They're valuable because they're our only commodity. Time, everybody thinks, oh, well, my time's worth more than yours, or whatever. Okay, well, that makes you an asshole.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you wanted to be honest, your time is actually worth no more than mine, and mine is worth no more than yours. Well, sorry, yours.
Yeah.
And then
Let's not waste it.
let's not waste it. If I'm choosing to give you my time, I hope you value that, and vice versa.
Right.
And that means also that if I need to tell you about something, I feel safe enough to tell you about something, don't use that against me. Right? Be open to that. Be happy that somebody trusted you in
Respects
that
that
way.
vulnerability.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that vulnerability is actually what makes your games that amazing. That's why you feel comfortable with your friends and you can have these big games, right? The more you break that down, the more like theater it can be.
Yeah. And then you can do so many crazy things.
Right.
Yeah.
Because theater is all about trusting the person on the other side is going to catch you when you fall.
Right.
Or is going to be there to pick up your line or help you when you're sick at home. That person from theater is still going to come and help you out. I think that D&D or RPGs and role-playing in general can change the world.
Yeah.
We can actually have a better functioning existence if we are considerate, kind, and compassionate with each other.
I think the power of RPGs is to like expand your moral imagination, to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to just imagine something other than my own world. Is one of those things that is a powerful tool for RPGs, and I'd love if more groups like explore that or just acknowledge it.
It also offers an opportunity to practice empathy.
Yeah,
sure.
Actually, this doesn't matter because it's not real, even though you're sharing something that is real.
Right.
Because you're sharing it.
Yeah.
But it gives you a chance to engage with that other player, with the DM and their story, and vice versa.
When we say to say yes or whatever, what we really mean, yes and does not specifically mean you have to say yes everything.
Right.
What it means is that you don't discount. It means that you say, okay, well that might not fit for this thing. So you say, well no, but we can do this.
Yeah.
Or yes, I can see how that might work, but does anybody else have an opportunity that they want to help or share or whatever? You don't have to shut somebody down. And if you just say no and you don't add anything else to it, that feels bad, right?
Right. You're putting up walls, and that's the last thing we need right now is more walls.
And
sorry.
Okay.
It's about as much political as I'll get.
That whole idea of saying to somebody, you are valuable, what you have is important, and I'm not worried so much about being like, oh, squishy feelings, right? It's not, It's not about that, but it's about being a good friend.
Yeah.
And if you are thinking about not only how things impact you, but how they will impact other people, how your decisions or the things you, especially if you're in a partnership of some sort, right? Because we have a lot of people that are partners that play games.
Yeah.
Thinking about how your decisions do that without being a slave to it
Yeah.
will really ultimately enrich your relationships
Absolutely.
across the board.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom from the man himself.
Yeah. Thank you very much for.
It's not even Wednesday.
It's not even Wednesday.